To make sure he's straight. I said holes, not holes. Making sure he's good. You know, father got to make sure the son is good. You know how your son playing baseball, you still got to run out there and be like, son, do this and son, do that.
There's been a devastating development here on Angelique. What more do we?
Well, good afternoon to you, Tom. Yes, heartbreaking development here in the city of Milton.
In just 3 days, a routine morning turned into every parent's worst nightmare. One moment, Lil Jon's son vanished without a phone, without a trace. The next, divers pulled a body from a quiet pond in suburban Georgia. Now, the man known for shouting, "Yeah," is speaking through tears, confirming the most devastating news of his life. What really happened to DJ Young Slade, and how did it all unravel so fast? This story is not a rumor, not a leak, and not internet speculation. It is a confirmed tragedy that has shaken the hip-hop world and stunned fans across the globe. On February 6, 2026, rapper and producer Lil Jon publicly confirmed the death of his 27-year-old son, Nathan Smith, known professionally as DJ Young Slade. For decades, Lil Jon has been a symbol of high energy, celebration, and larger-than-life anthems. But today, that image is replaced by silence, grief, and unanswered questions. How did a young, talented NYU graduate disappear from his home? Why was he described as disoriented? And how did a massive search end in the worst possible outcome? In this video, we are going to walk through the full timeline of events, step by step, using confirmed facts from law enforcement and family statements. We'll look at Nathan's life, his career, the moments leading up to his disappearance, the intense search operation, and the heartbreaking discovery that followed. Most importantly, we will separate facts from speculation while also highlighting the emotional weight this loss has placed on Lil Jon and his family. Stay with us, because the details that emerge next make this case even more chilling than it first appears. Before his name became part of a heartbreaking headline, Nathan Smith was quietly building a life and career far away from the spotlight that followed his famous father. Known professionally as DJ Young Slade, he was not chasing fame through controversy or shortcuts. Instead, he was focused on craft, education, and long-term respect in the music industry. Nathan was 27 years old and a graduate of New York University, an achievement that spoke volumes about his discipline and ambition. Friends and collaborators described him as deeply knowledgeable about sound engineering, production, and modern music technology. Unlike many second-generation artists, he avoided leaning on his father's name, choosing instead to work behind the scenes as a producer, audio engineer, and artist. Those close to him consistently used the same words when describing his personality: kind, gentle, and thoughtful. According to the family statement, he was the kindest human being you would ever meet, someone who uplifted others rather than competing with them. This detail becomes especially haunting when contrasted with the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. Nathan was also known for being introspective. While he was passionate about music, he was not known for reckless behavior or public drama. There were no reports of legal trouble, public disputes, or dangerous lifestyle choices. That is what made the events of early February so shocking to everyone who knew him. Behind closed doors, Lil Jon was not just a global music icon. He was a father watching his son grow into his own person, proud of his education, his talent, and his character. And that pride makes what happened next even harder to comprehend. Because just days later, the life of a young man with a future full of promise would suddenly veer into mystery. And the first sign that something was terribly wrong came in the early hours of a quiet Tuesday morning. The timeline takes a dark turn on the morning of Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. This was the last confirmed day Nathan Smith was seen alive. According to police reports, the events of that morning were sudden, confusing, and deeply unsettling. Authorities say Nathan was seen running out of his home in Milton, Georgia, a quiet and affluent suburb roughly 30 miles north of Atlanta. What immediately alarmed investigators and family members was how unprepared he was when he left. He did not take his phone, he did not take any personal belongings. There was no indication that he planned to be gone for long, or at all. Police later described him as possibly disoriented at the time he left. That single word would become central to the entire investigation. Disoriented suggests confusion, distress, or an altered mental state, and it raised urgent concerns about his safety from the very beginning. When hours passed with no contact, worry quickly turned into panic. For someone as responsible and grounded as Nathan, disappearing without communication was completely out of character. Family members knew immediately that this was not a case of someone needing space or taking a walk to clear their head. By that same morning, a missing person report was filed. Law enforcement launched an active search, treating the situation as high risk due to the circumstances of his departure. Officers canvassed the neighborhood, reviewed nearby surveillance cameras, and began mapping possible routes he could have taken on foot. The community response was swift. Neighbors shared information, volunteers joined search efforts, and social media posts spread rapidly, urging anyone with information to come forward. Each passing hour added to the fear that Nathan may have wandered into danger. But as daylight faded and no trace of him surfaced, the case took on a more ominous tone. Investigators began expanding the search area, realizing that whatever happened next would not be resolved quickly. And while the public was just beginning to learn about the disappearance, behind the scenes, law enforcement was preparing for a search far more intense than anyone expected. As February 3rd turned into February 4th, the search for Nathan Smith intensified rapidly. What began as a local missing person case soon escalated into a full-scale multi-agency operation, signaling just how seriously authorities were taking the situation. Milton police were soon joined by surrounding law enforcement agencies, search and rescue teams, canine units, and eventually specialized dive teams. This escalation was not routine. It reflected growing concern that Nathan's possible disorientation placed him in immediate danger. Investigators began reconstructing his last known movements. Surveillance cameras from nearby streets, homes, and businesses were reviewed. Officers walked routes he may have taken on foot. Canine units tracked scent paths that led away from his home and into nearby wooded and park areas. One location quickly became a focal point: Mayfield Park. The park, while peaceful during the day, contains dense vegetation, walking trails, and several bodies of water, including a pond that immediately concerned investigators. When someone disappears under unclear mental conditions, water becomes a priority search area. Authorities do not make that decision lightly. By midweek, dive teams from the Cherokee County Fire Department were brought in. This was a turning point in the investigation. The presence of divers suggested that law enforcement feared the worst, even though no public conclusions had been drawn. Meanwhile, Lil Jon and Nathan's mother, Nicole Smith, remained largely silent publicly, focusing on coordinating with authorities and holding on to hope. Behind the scenes, family members were living through unimaginable anxiety, waiting for updates that never came fast enough. Volunteers continued searching on foot. Flyers circulated. Social media lit up with messages of concern, especially within the music community, where many were only just learning that DJ Young Slade was Lil Jon's son. Then came Friday, February 6th. Just before noon, divers entered the pond at Mayfield Park once again. What happened next would bring the search to a devastating end and change everything for the Smith family forever. Friday, February 6, 2026, began like any other day for residents of Milton, Georgia, but for the Smith family, it would become the most tragic day imaginable. After 3 tense days of searching, the Cherokee County dive team returned to Mayfield Park, focusing their efforts on the park's pond, a location that had drawn suspicion from investigators since Nathan's disappearance. Shortly before noon, divers located a body submerged in the pond. Law enforcement sources later confirmed that the body was that of Nathan Smith, the 27-year-old known professionally as DJ Young Slade. The discovery was heartbreaking, but also provided the first concrete answers to the agonizing question of his whereabouts. Authorities were careful to release only confirmed details at first. The Milton Police Department emphasized that, while Nathan's body was recovered from water, there was currently no indication of foul play. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office would later examine the body to determine the official cause and manner of death. But for now, the family, friends, and fans were left grappling with the shocking reality: a young life, full of talent and potential, had ended far too soon. The reaction in the community was immediate and intense. Local news stations reported on the discovery, and fans flooded social media with condolences. Messages poured in from fellow musicians, collaborators, and celebrities, all expressing disbelief and sorrow. Lil Jon, who had built a career around high-energy performances and party anthems, now had to confront his worst nightmare: losing his only son. Family statements soon followed. In a joint release, Lil Jon and Nicole Smith described themselves as extremely heartbroken and devastated. They praised Nathan not only for his artistic talent as a producer, artist, and engineer, but also for the quality of his character. He had been described as the kindest human being you would ever meet, someone who inspired those around him both personally and professionally. The news also reignited questions about mental health, disorientation, and what may have led Nathan to leave his home that fateful morning. While speculation began circulating online, authorities urged the public to respect the family's privacy and wait for official findings from the medical examiner. Despite the tragedy, this section of the story also highlights the tireless work of law enforcement, search and rescue teams, and volunteers who combed through the area for days. Their efforts, while unable to save Nathan, brought closure to a harrowing search. And yet, even with the recovery of his body, the story doesn't end here. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance, his mental state, and the emotional aftermath for Lil Jon and the family add layers to this tragedy that are only beginning to emerge. The moment Lil Jon confirmed the death of his son, the world saw a side of the rapper that few had ever witnessed. Known for his signature energy, booming voice, and party anthems, he is a performer who thrives on hype and celebration. But on February 6, 2026, that persona was stripped away, replaced by raw, unfiltered grief. In a joint statement with Nathan's mother, Nicole Smith, Lil Jon expressed the depth of his heartbreak. He described Nathan as an amazingly talented young man, someone who not only excelled as a music producer, engineer, and artist, but also as a kind, gentle soul. His words painted a picture of a son whose promise extended far beyond the stage or the studio. Friends and colleagues echoed this sentiment, calling Nathan thoughtful, intelligent, and genuinely compassionate. Videos and social media clips of Lil Jon crying while making the announcement quickly went viral, resonating with fans worldwide. For many, it was a stark reminder that grief is universal. No amount of fame, wealth, or success can shield someone from the pain of losing a child. Comments flooded in across platforms, expressing solidarity, empathy, and shared sorrow with the family. The impact of this tragedy extends beyond the personal. The music community has rallied in mourning, highlighting the connections Nathan had built with fellow artists. Although he worked largely behind the scenes, his influence as a producer and engineer was already recognized among peers. Many shared memories of collaboration and mentorship, emphasizing that his legacy would live on through the music he helped create. This public outpouring of support also sheds light on the duality of Lil Jon's life, a larger-than-life entertainer confronted with the ultimate human vulnerability. He has spent decades commanding crowds with energy and humor, yet now faces the unthinkable silence of loss. Despite this support, Lil Jon and Nicole Smith requested privacy, asking the public and media to respect their mourning period. Their request is a reminder that while social media and news outlets amplify stories, the human cost behind these headlines is real, painful, and deeply private. But even as the family grieves, questions remain. What led Nathan to leave his home that morning? Could more have been done to help someone who may have been disoriented or in distress? And how will this tragedy shape the public's understanding of mental health, especially for young artists navigating pressure and expectations? Nathan Smith, known to the world as DJ Young Slade, was more than just the son of a music icon. He was a young man whose life, though tragically cut short, left a lasting imprint on everyone who knew him. His achievements reflected a rare combination of talent, intelligence, and humility. From graduating New York University to making waves as a music producer and engineer, Nathan had built a foundation for a career that promised influence, innovation, and artistic excellence. His work behind the scenes in the music industry showed an understanding of sound and production that was already gaining respect among peers. Yet, despite the skill and accolades, Nathan remained grounded, focused, and committed to his craft without relying on his father's fame. In interviews and statements, colleagues consistently highlighted his kindness, generosity, and the way he encouraged others. These qualities made his death all the more devastating. It wasn't just the loss of a talented artist, it was the loss of a genuinely good human being. For Lil Jon, the personal impact is unimaginable. Few experiences rival the pain of losing a child, and for someone whose public life is defined by joy, music, and celebration, this sorrow stands in stark contrast to everything fans associate with him. The rapper has always been open about his connection to his son, and this public acknowledgement of grief has humanized a larger-than-life figure, reminding the world that even icons are not immune to tragedy. The tragedy has also sparked broader conversations about mental health, awareness, and the pressures faced by young adults, particularly those in creative industries. Nathan's disappearance, described as possibly involving disorientation, highlights the importance of community support, early intervention, and understanding when someone may be struggling. While authorities have stated there's no indication of foul play, the circumstances invite reflection on how families, friends, and society can better support those in distress. Even as investigations continue, the Smith family has asked for privacy, emphasizing the need to grieve away from the public eye. Social media and news outlets have amplified messages of condolences, memories, and tributes. But the core of the story remains deeply personal. A father losing a son, a mother mourning a child, and a community grappling with the sudden end of a young life filled with promise. In the coming weeks, details from the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office may provide more answers about the official cause of death. But regardless of the findings, Nathan's legacy, his kindness, talent, and passion, will continue to live on through the music he created and the lives he touched. This story is a powerful reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring love between parents and children. It's a cautionary tale, a tribute, and a call to empathy for anyone watching. If you found this story moving or want to honor Nathan's memory, please share your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more coverage of impactful stories that matter. Every like, every comment, every share helps keep conversations about mental health, support, and awareness alive, ensuring that tragedies like this inspire reflection, compassion, and community. The world may have lost DJ Young Slade too soon, but through remembrance and storytelling, his spirit continues to resonate, a legacy of talent, kindness, and unfulfilled promise that will never be forgotten.